Yo, what up, people? I'm not sure which channel I'm gonna put this on, so I'm watching my mouth. It's your boy Philko, also known as Philko here. And as we know right now, I am in Budapest, Hungary. I think I'm gonna put this on my put this on my American channel. What up, niggas? It's your boy Philko here. And today I went out to make an English teaching video. I went outside, and as I went outside, I saw a basketball court. So I immediately went to the basketball court, and I was looking at it and stuff, and I was about to film my video when I got approached by one of the workers, This guy named Frank, he's a tall white guy, long hair, like in a ponytail. And he started speaking pretty good English, without much of an accent. I was pretty impressed. He was like, I'm sorry to bother you, but you can't film here, blah, blah, blah. Then we started talking, and then politics and stuff started to come out. And because he asked me, he was like, where are you from? I was like, New York. And then he was like, where are you? No, where are you going after this? I'm like, well, after this, I gotta go to Ukraine, then back to Russia. He was like, back to Russia? I thought you were from New York. I'm like, yeah, but most of the past 2 years I've been living in Russia, so that's kind of where I live right now, but I'm trying to live here in Hungary. And then he started telling me things about history, about World War I, about World War II, and then why a lot of Hungarians kind of don't like Russians too much. So let me get into it. What he was telling me was that the annexation of the Crimea, like when the Russians took it, they were afraid that the Hungarians are afraid that the same thing might happen to them later. Because for those of you who don't know, Hungary is connected to Ukraine. It's like southwest of Ukraine, basically. Or just west. It's connected to Ukraine. They touch. It's to the west of Ukraine. And he was like, he's afraid that Russia is going to take over Hungary and then take over Ukraine, then try to take over Hungary. Because Hungary was a part of the USSR. He said back then Russians took it over after World War II and basically just raped it for its resources, destroyed it, and just really fucked it up. And he said before World War I, a lot of Europe fucked them up because after the war, Hungary used to be much bigger. They chopped it up in 5 pieces and then it became much smaller. That's after World War I. So Hungarians are very untrustworthy of like Europe and Russia because like they fucked them over both wars, And so he was telling me about it. And then he said Russians want to take over a lot more than just Crimea. Now I'm going to tell you something which is straight, to me, fact. This is all I've noticed, even Crazy Face, same thing. A lot of Russians, now, before I say this, listen to what I'm saying and not what you think I'm saying. I fucking hate that shit. I'm not saying Russia taking the Crimea was right or wrong. I'm just saying they took it. It's a fact. I'm not giving my fucking opinion on it, but I'm telling you how Russians usually react to it. Whenever I had a conversation with Russians about the taking of the Crimea, they always had a happy positive that they have it, careless towards the Ukrainians' response. So what do I mean? If I were to speak to a Russian about the taking of Crimea, like, yeah, it's Russia now, Crimea. And they're just happy about it, which is how it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that's how they are. Like, yeah, Crimea is ours now. It's beautiful there. And that's just how they are about it. They're very positive about the taking the Crimea. Of course, the Ukrainians have the opposite reaction. Oh, fuck them. They just stole the Crimea from us. And then the Russians will say, well, it's ours in the first place. We gave it to them, so we just took it back. That's what they say. And then Ukrainians will say, oh, Phil, come on. You got to understand. They can take back Alaska. And I'm like, Alaska, that's not Ukraine. So let's not go there. But still, basically what I'm saying is most Russians have an attitude that towards it taking the Crimea that, hey, we took it, so what? It's ours now. Like, that's how they have it. So when I told the guy this, because this is my honest belief, this is how people respond to me about the Crimea situation, and he was kind of like, see, that's what I'm talking about. We're afraid that they're going to try to take this again and try to do this, do that. So Hungarians are a little wary of the situation in Ukraine right now. And then he told me that there's a lot of Hungarians who live in Ukraine because, I love how the chair's moving, because part of Ukraine right now used to be Hungary. So Hungary, some of it, where it used to be, is now Ukraine. So there's a good number of Hungarians in Ukraine who are also worried about it. So like, for a lot of you who don't know, the way Hitler started taking over countries and shit, it wasn't by means of war. That's not how he took them over. He was given permission to take places, he was even given permission to take the Sudetenland. If it's not called the Sudetenland, please correct me. But I believe he was able to take over the Sudetenland because in this land, which was part of a different country, that wasn't Germany or Austria, but they were German-speaking people, and they let him take that over. But then after he took the Sudetenland, he went over his boundaries, and then that's when the war started. So when Hitler first started taking over shit, he was given permission. The world respected this guy a lot. They respected him a fucking lot. He wasn't just some villain from the start. No, he basically became the villain once he started taking over places. Because if he wasn't a villain, why the fuck was everyone letting him do shit? They were signing papers letting him fucking do it. You know, that's how it started. So, saying that, the fact that there's Hungarians and Hungarian-speaking people in Ukraine, a lot of them near the west and southwest, that may interest, it grabs Hungarians' attention a lot about what's going on in Ukraine, and they hope that the Russians won't move westwards towards their people because it will raise tensions with Hungarians. This is what I'm learning. And he also told me that the prime minister the last 8 years of Hungary is a gypsy. And he was like, gypsies are like ruining the country. The gap between rich and poor is, and I'm gonna see this guy again tonight or tomorrow. So if he wants, he can come over. He'll tell you this stuff himself. I don't want to seem like I'm making this shit up. And then he goes on to say that, you know, gypsies are violent. You know, they're like they're basically the violent people of the country. You know, he told me to be careful of them and all this stuff. And yeah, that's basically what he was telling me about. So, you know, it was really interesting speaking to him. He told me the average, he said it's bad here in Hungary. And I said, how is it bad? It looks great. He was like, basically, if you can't make $850 a month, you can't survive here. That's what he said. Like, but he said in torrents, forints, that's about 200,000 forints. If you can't make 200,000 forints a month, you can't make it here. You know what I mean? He said jobs, they pay very low wages, things are expensive. And that's how he sees it. And he was like, he wishes things were better. Like, he wished things were the way they were before the gypsy took over. And this guy who used to live in Canada, now he lives here. I think he was born here. He went to Canada, then he came back here. And what's interesting here is you don't have to go to high school. High school here is not mandatory. So that means at late 14 or 15, you could just get a job and not have to go to school. And it's normal. There's no truancy officers out here. You don't have to go to high school. And high schools don't have to accept you here. They don't have to accept you. You're a fucking bona fide adult at 15, 16 here. Let me look up the age of consent. Let me look up the age of consent in Hungary. I gotta find that out. And for those of you who don't know, of course, age of consent is the age at which you can have sex with adults and the adult doesn't get in trouble. Let me see. Age of consent, Hungary. This has to be low since you're a fucking adult. Holy shit! In Hungary, the age of consent is 14. That's not cool. The minimum legal age for drinking alcohol, smoking, voting, getting married, and having an abortion without parental consent is 18. To get married is at 16. But age of consent is 14 in Hungary. That is low, my nigga. But still, in my mind, it'll always be 18 for me. Always. I could never go younger than 18. It's just not in me. But that's crazy. Age of consent is 14. So you're basically an adult real young here. So when I go to the club, I'm going to be seeing 18-year-olds in a club. That's not bad. Other places much younger. Like you can see 14-year-olds in clubs in Cyprus easy. It's no big deal. There's no age for nothing. You just go the fuck in, you know. So that's basically it, people. Just giving you some background about Budapest, Hungary, and the situation here. Why they're kind of not too kindly to Russians. I mean, they're not mean to anyone. At least in my opinion. I'm still learning. But while some of them are a little wary of Russia in the situation right now, and that's because of what's going on in Ukraine, and they're afraid that they're going to take Hungary over just like they did after World War II. So, there you go, people. Let me know what you think. And these aren't my fucking views. It's the guy's views. I can easily get him here to fucking film the video. You know what I mean? He'll do it. You know what I mean? I ain't making this shit up. I was thinking about filming him when he was telling me this, but I was out of battery. So I'm out. Later.